Brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. My name is Hassan Al-Mu'adhin, and I'm your host for Talk with a Professional. Our guest today is Dr. Ayaz Khan. Dr. Ayaz Khan earned his PhD in Biomedical Engineering in 2008 from Wayne State University in Detroit, Michigan. He then completed his postdoctoral fellowship at Massachusetts General Hospital, which is part of Harvard Medical School. And then he moved on to University of Texas Southwestern Medical Center for another postdoc. Dr. Khan is currently a clinical MRI scientist at St. Jude Children's Research Hospital, where he provides support to provide imaging-based diagnosis of cancers in children and participates in research. His passion includes career counseling and providing mentorship to those who are interested in higher education. He is an outdoor enthusiast and a Boy Scout master. He's also a certified instructor in zip lining, high rope walking, rappelling, and wall climbing. Dr. Khan, welcome to Talk with a Professional.
Thank you so much. Assalamu alaikum. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. And I'm really excited to be here. You can see from my face, I have, like all that shining coming from my face because I'm very excited to be here.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. So, Dr. Khan, as we used to do in previous episode, we Talk with a Professional. Our focus is helping our young students in high school and in college decide on a career. So every month we invite a professional from the community to talk about their career development. And the idea here is to incite encouragement and passion for the students into that career pathway. So take us back when you were in high school. What was going on the mind of Dr. Khan or Ayaz Khan when you were in high school?
Well, at that time, not much, except, like any other student from back home, especially from South Asia, would give you that all we did high school was math, physics, and science, without any much of, its application, but definitely in-depth education or acquiring more skills in these subjects. That was pretty much very normal, like any other kid. Nothing exceptional. I was very average student with like most the student that you will hear from. So I'm not even a genius, not even very creative that I would also just to point out that. But definitely I was hardworking. And every time I would study these subjects, I'll definitely make sure that I will get something out of it. So that's a very boring answer, I know, but that's all about it from my side, especially for my high school days.
But this is normal. Right. In high school, you expect students to work hard on their subjects, math, physics, and chemistry, and biology, right? Once you have good skills, good reading skills, writing skills, and good science skills, you can study any field. So obviously you mastered those skills in high school, right. And you were ready for college. So what did you pick for college?
So in the way things works in Pakistan and pretty much in South Asia, that in the high school, we have a choice of either we go where they call it pre-engineering. So pre means before your professional degree of a university, you either choose the engineering track or you do medicine, biology. Eventually you can be either basic science or medical college. For engineering, of course, pre-engineering becomes like engineer or maybe like, science related subjects like physics, math, etc. I chose, the engineering, although, just like any other dad back home, my dad wanted, he gave me two options, either be an engineer or doctor. And I chose the pre-engineering because I never thought I can be a good doctor or be a medical professional. So I chose that. And you have the flip of a coin, of course, right? And I did not think too much. Just chose that, followed that track for a couple of years. So what we call it from 10th grade, after 10th grade, we call it college. So those 2 years are called college, which is equivalent to high school here in USA. And same thing, in those days, it was mostly self-studying. The way the education system is back home, those 2 years are very, awkward kind of situation where you go to college and university, but you don't study. You mostly spend time in like game rooms, hang out with friends, not attending too many classes. And the way the education system is, eventually you are on your own in those 2 years, which turns out to be a one way, a chance that you become much more of a self, studying, person, and that gives you a boost before you go into the professional, track, which is like the university level, where mostly, if you see, it's all about how well you can manage your time wisely and do your job in terms of studying, performing, the experiments, and do the assignment and stuff. So yeah, just like and very very average and very typical kind of a time I had, and then choosing the track was, like I said, flip of a coin, either this or that, and I chose one of them.
Right. So it looks like you had limited choices. Either you go to engineering or you go to the medical field.
Yes.
But even though, I mean, you had to have strong background in the sciences in order to be successful in the engineering. And obviously correct. You attained that level of rigor that enabled you to be successful in the engineering. So what field of engineering did you pick?
So when it came to the choosing the undergrad, again, just to give you a glimpse of how things work. So if you are in the top level student, you go to public schools, which is free, no tuition at all, by the way. So it's all free, be it medical or engineering. And I was not one of those bright students. So I didn't make it to a public school. And eventually I went to a semi-government university. And at that time, it was very newly established. But my father wanted me to be an engineer, so it's like, okay, you know what, just go for that one, and I did. I was able to pass the entry exam and got into computer science of computer engineering, and that was a very big buzz back then in like mid 90s. Everybody wanted to be, computer engineer. And I saw that's what I did, follow the herd, and say, okay, everybody's going this way. Let me just, take the same route. So I got into computer science, and then found out the same university in the whole Pakistan is offering biomedical engineering. Okay, and never heard about this before. One of my friend, he could not make it to computer science, so they threw them into that biomedical engineering, and he was a very close friend to me. So he told me about that. I'm like, well, let me look into this. And for some reason, again, no mentor. I always felt that I never got a good mentor, in the surrounding, being a family or, in the neighborhood or in the circle that who even properly guided me. So I asked my dad, and he's like, why would you choose this? And I'm like, oh, everybody's doing computer science, so there'll be so many graduates and no jobs. And he laughed. He retired as a managing director for a firm, and he's like, look, this is premature. You cannot just say now. But I was very firm about, okay, you wanted me to be a doctor, so it's like, combination of biomedical engineering. So let me go for it. And to be honest, I never regretted, because I finished my undergrad in biomedical engineering, then master's, then PhD. And this is one of the things that I'm thankful to Allah is this is one of them.
This is really wonderful. So, because as you know, I mean, many students struggle in deciding in high school what is good for them. So sometimes we advise students to go shadow somebody.
True.
Observe a doctor, observe an engineer, and then for some time, and then see if you like the type of activity that this professional does. So, so you feel, and you're not unique in this area when you say I didn't get a lot of mentorship. I think many of the first generation immigrants also probably feel the same way.
True.
They were directing themselves.
And sometimes your family choose, like back home, parents choosing
Yes,
the field for
yes,
you are very, very,
yes,
common.
yes, yes.
Yeah.
So you felt comfortable in bioengineering.
Correct.
So tell us about your journey in bioengineering undergrad.
Right. So see, let me just clear one thing: biomedical engineering and bioengineering, it can be used interchangeably, or it could be a little bit confusion. So if you Google it and ask any expert in this field or professor, they will give you biomedical engineering. Bioengineering is the same. But if you really want to go a little bit more, biomedical engineering means mostly where you have the medical background, like that teaches you anatomy, physiology, biochemistry, biophysics, circulatory system, and so much. And then along with that, you learn engineering courses like electronics, electrical engineering, electromagnetism, biomechanics, mechanics. So this is, and then I did a lot of math, like I did 5 or 6 math courses in my undergrad, and even in PhD, of course. So it's combination of both engineering and then the application of engineering in medicine. On the other hand, if you see bioengineering is mostly, if you see, it's more inclined toward basic science, like when you work mostly with DNA and protein engineering and all that kind of. So this is one thing that we should be clear about. Now, when I chose, of course, was biomedical engineering, where we had pretty much every kind of engineering that you can think of. And I studied a lot of courses, and we always thought, as an undergrad student, when you do not know too much, and you think, oh my God, why are we studying all these courses, right? And now I know why. Because undergrad degrees are designed to make you aware of vast or very big horizon of different fields within one that you are choosing. And then, of course, in master, you can choose the specialization. I was fortunate enough, although the university was very new, but all the instructor was amazing. And everything that I have studied in undergrad, even back home, they had a very good curriculum. I even, I'm jumping the gun, but when I was in Dallas and was doing in this one amazing lab as a research fellow, so they would study effect of exercise on brain health and cardiovascular system. And there were other labs that would study different things, like, for instance, aging, obesity, the effects of, these different conditions on the health. I was in one of the research lab where they used me as a participant for research, and they put me in that one testing for 5 hours, basically. So I was asking questions and giving them, suggestions. They all asked me, hey, I was very new, and like, what have you done? Like, what is your training in? Because I could do all the engineering, computer science, and everything. And they're like, what degree you have? Like, biomedical. So there were people from Australia, New Zealand, England, you name it, like, from very multicultural lab. They all said, if we had a chance, we would do biomedical engineering rather than what we studied, because that's how vast and that's how much diversified courses are, that you can really jump into so many different fields. So that was, of course, just to give the glimpse of the biomedical engineering. My personal experiences were that it was completely, of course, new stuff for me, studying what I studied before, molecular biology, biochemistry, we studied, but now you're studying on the advanced level. Now, then you are basically taking that medical understanding, transferring into engineering. So the way our network works, like neural network, in the neurons, if you take that and see how the electrical circuit works, it's literally, I can design a circuit to teach you how the neuron works, how this whole signal processing works there. So it was very amazing. Or sometimes they would give you, make you think that, okay, design something that mimic a biological system in your body. So these things really boosted the confidence that, well, this is something which will turn into, sustainable, or something which will keep me excited. Now, did I have any plan of doing PhD back then? The answer is no. Same, there was not much mentorship. The teachers were there, but like you said, you give example or suggestion to these students, or this early age individual, that shadowing someone spending some time is an amazing, thing to do. If somebody asks me the most easiest way, spend even a week or day, or just follow one day this particular person, you will learn so much. Sometimes what you study, what you experience, is so limited, and the people surrounding you, they have so limited information. When you get out of it, it just blows your mind. So between you and I, we both know, if you go to conferences, you look at these papers and these ideas, and you're like, what? Like, I cannot even think about, and these people are doing this. So you feel like you're excited, but on the other hand, you see these people sharing different experiences, research, papers, ideas, and you're like, wow, So it brings you a new way, a new, route where you can follow. Same goes for these, for the student. If they follow, if they shadow someone, even for a day or a couple of days, or even interview them, like, the way what we're doing right now, they will learn so much that will give them even more confidence in that particular area, give them more areas to think about, and then explore. One thing I would say is, especially these days where information is on your fingertips, okay, the excuses should not be there. You can literally, now, too much information is also a problem, because then you have to filter them out. So the best thing is, if you sit down with a professional, interview them for a couple of hours, for a couple of minutes, sometime for particular questions. This is what I do. I'm sure you have done it too. Even at this stage where I'm, pretty much, mid-career, I do ask, sometime the people who are ahead of me, and, get their opinion about, this is what my plan is. At this age, is, a 43-year-old, I still have, a couple of decades to work. So I feel like, where would I go now, where I would be in 5-10 years? And we need mentorship, although we are offering mentorship, and this is how it goes. So this is, the story where it started, where it went. And I know every time I or go off track, because I'm so excited about being a mentor, which I've been doing for the past 2 decades, that please keep me in, on the track if I go
No
off the
problem.
line.
So thank you for clarifying or bringing distinction between bioengineering and biomedical engineering. And just to remind our viewers, if you are listening, bioengineering is where you mix engineering with basic science like molecular biology. So, where you can modify proteins, or you can develop a new type of tissues, or so that's bioengineering. What Dr. Khan is talking about is biomedical engineering, where you can work in the area of developing devices, right? Developing new devices, and so this is very exciting.
Right.
So what are the, let's say if somebody interested in biomedical engineering, your area, so after 4 years degree, what can they do? Where do they get opportunities to get jobs with biomedical engineering?
Right. I'm going to start with this. The first job after undergrad, any job you get, take it. Okay. Because you will learn so many things. The first thing is the professional environment, the ethics, working in a group, in an environment. Ethics are different within organizations sometimes. So it's too much of a learning that you will see. Technical, yes, but mostly professional and personal. Now, in terms of jobs, some people do go for internships, during their coursework, and even after work, which is fine, because again, it's just give you a glimpse of what's out there. Now, what can they do? Depending, if they are clear about their career path, then they should choose either they want to go into industry, into any academic setup, any research position, or by that time, let's say they already know that this is not the field for them. Okay, and those people who know, or they figure out at early age that either it is their area of interest, or something they would pursue their professional career in, or not. In any case, these are the people who are clear about their path. And the one who are changing it, I personally feel they have a very strong personality, because they know right at the end of this degree program, oh, this is not for me, and then they can change it, no problem at all. Now, where they can go, if they're going into research, or maybe an academic setup, definitely any research position, regardless if it's internship, RA-ship, TA-ship, or any job, permanent job, go for it. For any, let's say for any industrial, the problem there comes in, everybody wants any experience. And that's where things get a little bit tricky. The best thing that I would suggest at that time is any kind of internship is always helpful. And most of the time you would know that even in America, 80% of jobs are filled through references. And the reason is, it's not that they do not want to go out, it's just the whole process takes so long, they would rather have somebody suggest them. So in that case, having a good network, okay? Networking is the most important thing to find any kind of job, okay? So let's say we have right now so many positions in our department. If I know someone, I would refer them. And most of the references are what? Personal. It's not professional. I'm not going to say, oh, he's very technical, very sound, or she's very technically sound. Yes, this person has a very good, what do you call it, professional development. And this person will be a good fit based on such and such. And they might, bring you in interview, of course. So having a very strong networking is very important. And then it comes to the point where, let's say, so of course I'm getting a little bit, jumping the guns.
So if I look at the internship,
right.
I mean, a person who decides to go to the biomedical engineering field obviously need to develop relationship with the faculty.
True.
Because the faculty will be aware of the internships, right? And they can refer the students.
True.
To internships, and that's where you begin to build experience. And once you go for internship in industry, then you begin to develop the network.
True, that's true.
Right.
That, and also even before that, the best thing that you can do, especially getting a job, it does not depend on the GPA. What it depends on is how well you can market yourself.
Right.
And the first step of marketing yourself is a very attractive CV. A very attractive CV is not dependent on your achievement. It depends on how very, nicely layout and nicely written CV that you have developed. And for that, every single job and position, you have to change it. These days, and it's been done for the past 2 decades, they run through its system. Like, machine learning has been, playing the role for the past 20 years. We know it now because it's been used too much because of the very high tech, processing that we can do. Sometime when you send the email or your CV, the employee just run a very one straight, look for, okay, is this person have this particular skill? So you have to be very smart. Making a CV is a skill. You have to make sure those names that they are looking for, you should throw in there. Now, for that, I would suggest that even before you graduate, look for jobs. Don't apply them. Don't apply because you have 6 months, but start reading about the description of jobs and see what kind of job and skills they are looking for. And if you have that 6-8 months, or if you are, on the third year of your undergrad, start developing those skills. And the skills that you think that you are capable of doing it. By the way, don't just, acquire every skill. After third year, you will know where do you see you are more, you are good at. So in biomedical engineering, by the way, there are so many different fields: biomechanics, okay, biosensors, imaging. They even have crash testing, the traffic and the whole car safety thing, and you name it. And now kinesiology, you can think about it. It comes in biomedical engineering. Now there are physiology, but then you are talking about the posture, the musculoskeleton, material that you will develop. So biomaterial is another one then. Okay, and then implants that we put in our bodies. This is just a very superficial. Then within those devices, they are programmable. Okay, so if you go more and more, so now let's say if you want to design a equipment, so we have cardio pacemaker, which is programmable. They program it. That's how they send the pulse for the heart to beat. If that is one area, you can imagine if it has computer science programming in it, and then biomaterial. So if you think you are a biomedical engineer with biomaterial understanding and you want to do some computer science, definitely you can do it. That is where you have to now be very smart. What skill you want to develop? And you can say, I am expert in this area. In the rest, you have the journal knowledge. Those are then you would apply in those CV before you apply for any job. And one last thing that I would definitely want to point out, having a nice cover letter is always helpful. Okay, just sending a CV is not a good idea. Having a nice cover letter, showing who you are, what do you want, and how would you get it. So who you are, what your skills are, your what you have achieved so far. What do you want to do is your long-term goals. Okay, what is the more important? Then you have to share them. And this particular job will help you to get there. So if you make this connection in that nice cover letter, you'll be like, yes, this person has a very nice, thought process that they know what they want, and this thing will help him or her. And guess what? If he's or she's so enthusiastic, that will definitely help us. So these are very important. And I know you asked me a question where they can apply. I am jumping then and telling you, how would they apply? A very effective, strong application is very important, is the first step.
So in addition to the cover letter, I maybe want to add well-written cover letter. And then what do you like to see in a cover letter? I mean, what do you consider to be a good cover letter?
True. So I'm going to give you what I do not want to say. Number one, do not repeat your CV in your cover letter. Okay. Do not make it a wish list. I want to do this. I want to do this. I want this. No, you don't want. And third, do not self-praise and write something which is just like merely words. Your action should speak. For instance, if you think that you have done something, write what you have done. As a reader, I will extrapolate. Okay, this person has. So, for instance, somebody write that their extracurricular activities that I have been, working as a social, some social work or some volunteer work in community about different kind of awareness. I, as a reader, would know. Okay, this person is a public person. If they have delivered, some kind of work, there is a, leadership, management, and also public speaking. So interpersonal skills. So everything in one line, you wrote what you did. I, as a reader, extrapolate. But if you tell me in that one line, I'm a public speaker, I'm this, how do I know you are? You see my point? So it should not be wish list. It should not be merely words. It should not be the copy of your CV. What you can write is a very well-structured, even if it's 10, 15, 20 lines. What you see yourself as, as a professional in the next 5, 10 years. And it doesn't have to be like, oh, in 5 years, this in 10 years. No, just say that my personal observation has been this, and I see based on my skills and my training thus far, this is what I can be working as a professional and making the difference in the society in general, and of course, particularly in that field. What I have achieved is such and such so far, okay? And what I need is this particular program, this particular training, which you are offering, because I don't have them, okay? But I can bring something that I have learned and get from you what you're offering me. And this will be a stepping stone for my next endeavor, which is whatever you're gonna do. Let's say if you're gonna do for master's or something else, this will be a very structured. So it means what? Systematically, you thought what is needed, what you have done, and what is, basically coming in future, and how this for the next 2-3 years, as long as you will be there or in this particular program, what will be expecting from them. And that would be a very well-structured, nicely written cover letter that anybody would like. And please do not repeat anything. If you wrote something, do not repeat. Okay. And the best thing is have somebody read it for you. Yes.
Right. Exactly. I want to stress that when you mention the reader, so you write what's on your mind, but doesn't mean the reader fully understand what's your own mind. Have somebody read it for you.
True.
Make sure it makes sense. You're connecting all the dots.
Exactly.
It's easy to understand.
Yes, the flow has to be there. Otherwise, that, and we have very great people within, and everybody is pretty much who are working. If you ask any person that how long they spend on a CV to review it for the first time, 3 seconds. Believe me, like you spend hours and hours and months, they look at 3 seconds, either they're going to throw in the trash or keep it to read it. The same thing goes for cover letter. The first few lines will give you, okay, it's going to be a boring cover letter or a statement of purpose or something interesting. Make it interesting, with the flow, connecting the dots. It should not be just something here, there. Nope. Yeah, that is very boring. And as a mentor, I do it every day, 5, 10, letters I read, and I do, of course, the back home. And I get it all through the emails. And this is something I always give them, that it has to be, even if you do not have achievements, a very well written cover letter really helps you, because that shows you that you have a plan. You're not just shooting in the dark, or throwing at the target that you cannot even see. Yeah.
I mean, most employers, they're looking for a fish, and they want to put the fish in the pond, and they expect this fish will swim.
Yes.
Well.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
they want to see maturity, they want to see enthusiasm,
Exactly.
They want to see passion
for
the job.
Exactly. They can train you the technical part. What
Right.
they cannot do it is, of course, your character, your personality.
Right.
I mean, that is something you bring in and you show, and they say, okay, we got you. We can show you all the technical part. This is the part where we expect from you, and this is where you have to show them. Yes.
I agree. Thank you. This is great.
Sure.
So let's go back to biomedical engineering, and tell us some of the courses that you had to take in biomedical engineering undergrad, so our viewers can get an idea what are the curriculum of biomedical engineering.
There'll be physics.
Okay.
So if you're not a physics person, you should know that would be biomedical, would not be area, will be bioengineering, then maths, and very intense math. It would be like 6-7 courses, so pretty much every semester, after a second or third semester, you would do the math.
So what are we specifically, I mean, when you say math, are we talking about calculus 1, calculus 2, calculus 3, differential equation 1?
Everything, every bit of it.
Mechanics, I mean, what do we?
Biomechanics would be there, fluid mechanics would be there, depending on the program. So you would see that every university might have a little bit of different courses. If they are more of like it depends on the labs too, like what kind of labs you have in the facilities. Accordingly, they have the courses. But math, physics, electromagnetism, biomechanics, fluid mechanics, all these will be there. So
you're
strong.
Some thermodynamics, right?
Thermodynamics, yes. Yes. Electromagnetism, yes. I never liked electromagnetism, and so this is what I do all the time. MRI is my expertise now. So physics, MR physics is what I do every single day, and I even teach, technologists and radiologists. And
so what you're saying, a person need to have a passion for physics, mathematics, chemistry, right? And then you're gonna blend it with some computer science.
True.
And languages, right? So you can write software.
True.
Right. So you need, and then a little bit of biology.
So a good amount of biology, by the way. So even if for undergrad, biophysics, biochemistry, molecular biology, anatomy, physiology, all these. So it's a very good mix of it. And even if you are not, even if they don't have a courses, eventually you would study for assignment or for your project some of these areas. So it's pretty good blend of the different courses. And for computers, so for instance, I know how to do programming, but I was never a good programmer. So, but you should know how to do scripting, how the whole structure works. Even if you don't want to become a programmer or a coder later on in this field, but some of my friends were very good at it, and they wanted mostly there. So these are the things that where you develop then further skill if you want to go in any particular area, and that's what I was trying to refer to. So in the fifth semester, sixth semester, you should know where you like the most. Final year should be developing skills in that area. So your final year project should really be focused on that one region. So for instance, there was a time when I even one time wrote a proposal for designing a robotic hand. So a robotic hand can have so many things. The mechanical part, the computer part, the interface part, the pattern recognition, you name it. So where you think that you will be working, that area make the expertise, and that will go further in your letter, in your CV, and for your academic or professional career later on. So
this is really interesting. So a person who goes into the biomedical engineering is a person who's typically has passion for mathematics, physics, chemistry, and biology.
Right.
And then we want to also emphasize you need good writing skills and good communication skills, because if you're going to go for graduate school afterwards, those are needed. Writing skills, communication skills.
So I would say, regardless of which field you go, these are, if you ask me a question where you said, what suggestion should I give these students or early career students or professional, few things that you have to understand: diversify your skills or your experiences. Diversify, regardless of what field you are in. We are not living in the 1970s that if you're a civil engineer, all you do is civil engineering. Not anymore. A time will come that even as a doctor, you should know how AI works, artificial intelligence. A few years, this is what we would expect. Just like we expect, like 30 years ago, knowing Excel and Word was a skill. It's a requirement now. Otherwise, you cannot survive, right? So diversify your skill, interpersonal skills, like communication skills, and also when you said that they have to be very good in writing, the answer is yes. Everybody, regardless, even if you're a person who's going to be on your computer just doing coding, not meeting anyone, eventually you're going to be talking to people in the meetings, sometime presenting stuff. So all these skills is a must and has to be done from very early. And this is something, sorry, just one thing that I see is ahead. Of course, in America, the system is different. So these things are developed. Back home in Pakistan or India, I mean, whole South Asia, the student that I get, they get best of the best scholarship, Erasmus Mundus, Fulbright, Chevening, that these are a very competitive, a scholarship, and my students get them. And the only thing that I work with them for the whole year, communication skill, how to write, how to communicate, how to write an email. They are good at the technical part. Where they are not good at is what? All these different skills. And unfortunately, we do not have a system that teaches them. Here, it is a system, but you have to even further develop it. If you cannot communicate with someone for 5 minutes, it's a problem. Right. Regardless of where you are, if you walk in somewhere in a professional environment, you should know what are the ethics. That's what I said. The first job is you're going to learn about professional ethics, and we have an expert in our community who would literally give you a lecture about that. How do you develop these things? These are the things that you have to, and these are the things we should stress on more. The technical part will come with the education, with the experiment, with experience.
Excellent.
So, and I agree with you. Yes.
Yes. We're getting some questions from our viewers. So one question we have: how do you see the formal education for biomedical degree requirements are changing for the current and future job opportunities?
So for undergrad, the changes would definitely come. And the change should come as we, go further. So when I was studying it 20 years ago, when I graduated 20 years ago or 21 years ago, in 1997, I started my biomedical engineering. And in the third semester, we studied what they call it in the MATLAB. So one of the technician who just knew MATLAB, I remember that one guy, he did not even have he just have associate degree. All he said was, if you know MATLAB, you will give it a job. And he was 100% right. MATLAB has so much in it, and what we did back then was they were called it artificial. No, it was not. I forgot the pattern recognition we were used to do back then, and I forgot the algorithm. We would write algorithm to do pattern recognition. So how do you find the texture of something and say it's an apple or orange and da da da? And 20 years now, you see this is now something which is completely a field where if you have a degree right now, you'll find we will get a job in any field. Okay, so the question, to answer this question, it will change a lot. Okay, and some of this will become a requirement even if you get to these degrees, because the expectation would be you should know this thing. When we went into my biomedical engineering, I never even touched a computer back then in 1997. Okay, and the good thing was they let us use this computer for the first time, and then the whole world of internet was open to us. Okay, so completely different for us. They literally would allow us to sit 1 hour once in a week to just explore stuff on internet. Would you expect that now from a student? No, they have a phone to do it anytime they want. So yes, the things will change, and it will change drastically, even that you can even imagine. So things will change, yes. Should it change? Of course. And this is something you have to be very well aware of, that you have to, if again, it goes back to that one point. If you can find, the moment you find out what you want in your life, that's where you start. It could be from your high school, from undergrad, and for some people, even in this country, even back home, it starts after they finish their undergrad, they even do masters, they even do 4 years of a job, and then say, you know what, this is not a field for me. Okay, and I have known some of the colleagues, one of them a lawyer, and then he became a radiologist. So can you imagine? He was a lawyer, and then now he's a radiologist. So he went to med school, and then fellowship and residency and name it, and now radiologist. And another one, dentist, and then went back to medical school, and now a radiologist here in USA. Back home, same thing. So it is sometime, finding out at early age is good. Sometimes you find out later, but once you find out, that's where you make you make a plan. So if you once find out what you want in your life, that's where you're going to start developing skills for that particular degree, be it biomedical engineering, economics, computer science, whatever it is. And yes, the courses will change, the requirement will change, the prerequisite will change, and you have to keep up with. So the best thing I can tell anyone, regardless of which stage of career they are, be academic or professional, diversify your skills.
Right, and that's a great advice. Diversify your skills and keep an open mind.
Yes, and the last thing I would just add on, that if you apply for any job, they don't look at your GPA. You know what they look at? What kind of skills you have. You may have a skills in one area. Does not mean you have to go and exactly and do the same thing. No, you would use that skill in different area. Second thing that a lot of the young, when you are young, you make this mistake is, oh, I have this experience, so I have to go in this particular job. No, you can go to any other job as long as you know the skill. You want to bring something new to that lab or to that position, and you want to learn something from that position in that job. If whatever you do, they're already doing it. What new are bringing to them? Nothing new. And guess what? You're not learning something new. So if you want to change a job, better be a different, So when I did 2 postdocs, there was a reason. I get some experience from one, and then I did 5-year postdoc. Nobody does that long, but I did because I knew what kind of skill I have to learn. And the same thing, that if you graduate from one school or one institute, try not to have the first job there. Change it, because you want to be in a different environment, a different surrounding, different skills, different position and job responsibility, so you can diversify. Diversification is something, it is beautiful, regardless if it's, the cultural, food, clothing, education, skills. Diversification is a beautiful thing. So diversify.
I agree, and because this will help you to explore.
True.
I mean, diversification will help you to explore, and also will get you out of your shell.
And challenge you, and just challenge your
challenge, exactly right. Challenges you so you can do better and be more creative. Because I mean, people say, how did he change? Well, he has the confidence, and he saw a pathway that basically he decided to pursue, and he worked hard and he achieved it. So you want to always have an open mind, build confidence.
And that's how you go up on the ladder.
Right. Very true. Very true. So, I mean, obviously you have a passion, although maybe in the undergrad or before undergrad, you probably needed an opportunity to explore your potential. And then once you jumped into biomedical sciences and you enjoyed the physics and the chemistry and the biology, now obviously you decided, I'm not going to stop there. I'm going to pursue a higher education because I want to be a scientist.
True.
So tell us about this jump to become a scientist
and
earn the PhD degree.
So I never thought I'm a scientist kind of a breed. I never thought I would be ever a scientist. I think that I am not, like some of those, researchers who really are genius and master their field. But so I'm not a genius. I'm not, very creative, but I'm very, very hardworking. So that's one thing that I really, know about myself. The second thing, which I think that have really made me successful, I go out of the way. Like I never follow the herd. I always come up with different, tactics, be it my professional, academic, and even
Can
for
I
my.
stop you? Can I stop you for a minute?
Yes.
Stop saying I'm not creative. You're telling me I'm not following the herd. I mean,
Yeah.
that's creativity, man. Give me a
So
break.
true, but that was like, be dynamic. Coming, like what I see, like if everybody goes that part, you have to do something different. Like
Exactly.
if you wanna stand out in if you wanna stand out in the herd, you have to be completely unique, and that's what I did. Coming to USA, then getting the scholarship, getting my first job in Pakistan. Everybody like, oh, we are biomedical engineer. Nobody even knew. Even in America, nobody knows biomedical engineering. Like a lot of people do not know. When I came the first time, I would have to explain to people what I am. In Pakistan, I graduated in December 2000, right at a Y2K, and it was Ramadan. And in January 15, 2001, I had a job within 2 weeks. All I did was what? I printed out from yahoo.com. There was no Google. The list of the companies in Karachi. It was biomedical is not big even now in Pakistan. And I literally went door to door knocking. Here's my CV. Like, what for? I'm like, well, I just graduated, so I'm giving you my CV in case you need a job. That's how I find a job. And everybody was like, who told you this? I'm like, nobody. I just thought about it. Same way in America. When I came for a master's. Why I came, I had no clue. I just wanted higher education. Okay. And I came for a master's, but right after 9/11, so things were very difficult. I got admission in Denmark, but Germany visa rejected because of the whole scenario back then. Unfortunately, came to USA, and then same thing, getting this assistantship or scholarship for PhD. Same thing, printed out CVs, went to every single department in the hospital, in the universities, just introducing myself. This is who I am. This is what I do, and within first 4 months, I got my fully funded PhD. Within a month, I got my friend a fully funded PhD. Within 4 months, I got another one from Pakistan. On the 6th month, I got another one, and the rest is history. And that was the start of my mentorship. I was doing even back then, but I never realized it. So these are the some of the things that I feel like you need to know who you are. See, if you want to be successful. So when I go to Pakistan, I give lecture. My last lecture was, if you want to be like successful, and I only had one slide. Know yourself. That's it. And I stood there in like, a dozen of universities in different days. And my lecture was just one thing. If you want to be successful, know yourself. If you know your capabilities, you develop your skill accordingly, and then you execute. And this is all I did. And this is exactly what I do. Mentorship was the whole mentorship thing was started like this. And now we have, of course, so many forums and everything. And alhamdulillah, I even get like from Egypt, from Iraq, from Bangladesh, from Sri Lanka, I mean, from India, I get requests for these things. And sometimes they want online interviews and stuff that I do with them. And so many discussion that I do, and I learn more from them than as much I teach them. So with being dynamic is one more thing that I would say, and knowing yourself. So I give you a few things that diversify your skill. Be dynamic, find out what your capabilities are. Accordingly, you should develop those. And these are something that, and you should know that what makes you feel, good. Now, the last thing before, the time, is finished. See, have a professional and personal life balance. This is one more thing I would give you. I give you 3-4 things. Okay. I never told you about technical stuff. You will learn it. But if you want to be successful, diversification, be dynamic, knowing yourself, developing your skill accordingly. Not everybody is the same. So don't think he did it, I would do it. No, you see how you are, and you start from there and develop those skills. And having a balance between professional and personal life will make you more productive. Okay, because then you're happy. You have a personal life, you do that, and your professional life, and then have a passion. So my passion is mentorship. And I've been doing this, for past 2 decades. And this is something that it really keeps you motivated. So find some passion in life as well.
Also, I want to stress, obviously you are aggressive in pursuing your dream.
Right.
And that's what we want to stress here is a person need to be aggressive and
right.
jumps on the hurdles
right.
to achieve their
exactly.
dream and not give up easily and stay consistent, focused. And that's what led you to become a scientist at St. Jude Children's Research Hospital.
And,
So
and
before I want you to share with our viewers about your creative work at St. Jude. If
sure.
you, I mean, we want to also protect the confidentiality of some of the
Sure.
work you do,
Sure.
but tell us in general about the creative work that you do for St. Jude.
Sure. So I'm going to start with my PhD. My PhD was solely on detecting iron in brain using MR in dementia. Then I went in to Harvard at a Mass Journal. It was even more focused, was completely very focused hemorrhagic stroke, where we see small microbleed. And the technique that I worked with to develop with my PhD advisor, it was very sensitive to that. So that was something that I did, dementia, older age, all that. And also I'm like, I'm too much focused now. So I went to Dallas for to work in this lab where we were learning the effect of exercise on brain health. So it was completely, structural, integrity, flow, blood flow to the brain. And all these skills are developed. And completely, if you see, I came from normal aging, dementia to cancer hospital. So that's what I was trying to say. I had a skill. Forget about the experiences. And when they asked me, what do you have? I can do this, I can do that. And eventually when I came, my first thing was to really optimize the brain imaging protocols that we were doing for clinical purpose mostly. And we have made so much. So when I came, I was the only neuro expert for just brain. Not, I should not say neuro, only brain. Neuro means spine as well. Now I can do neuro. And another thing, always look for opportunities to learn more. I came as a neuro. I can do brain and spine now. I can do cardiac. I can do the whole body. I can do spectroscopy. Every time I'm learning new stuff. So what we do now, we have improved the image quality in the brain and the spine. And we do, of course, consider that these protocols will be shared with throughout the world. So third world countries as well. So we keep that in mind and give them, these are the parameters that you can use to get the best quality image with less amount of time. So it's not about just the imaging quality, also reducing the time, because there are contrast agent involved, and we want, and especially sedation as well. So we want to optimize that. This is one of the things. Second is that we really focus on is learning. So we have a very specialized cohort of the patient. Not any other hospital in the whole world probably have. A couple of other very specialized hospitals for children. So if you have a very specialized cohort, you want to do a better job in research, and of course the outcome, so the rest of the world can learn it. So our job is, of course, diagnosis, and then the treatment part comes. But what we are trying to do is, of course, identifying the protocol for clinical, and also some for research to see what would be the better outcome. And of course, I'm doing very journalized information. In detail, if you go, it becomes too much of a discussion and technical stuff. So I want to avoid that we should not get into that. Yeah.
That's wonderful. I mean, to simplify it, maybe for our viewers, you're trying to improve
image quality.
Image quality, and of course, you work with animals first, right, and then you begin to work on humans.
So to be honest, I don't do the animal part. My purely with the human. But what we do is we don't do just ours. If somebody else do it in another part of the world, we take their work and accordingly optimize it. So it's like, why invent a wheel? If somebody has done it, let's take it and let's see how we can. They do it mostly for adults, and then we transform it into to the younger population, because it's completely different. And then you try to learn, of course, make sure the image quality is better, and we can even see before what so we have very, very nice imaging right now. Can we do detection earlier? Can we even go for more? And then how you can work with the whole idea of MR is not radiation. So how much we can do even more what we do right now? How can we eliminate X-ray and CT? Those kind of things. This is part of it. Yeah, that is also something that we are focusing on.
So Dr. Khan, in the last 2 minutes, tell our viewers what is the future for Dr. Khan?
Well, that's a good question. See, I get bored pretty easy if I do the same thing for too long. So I like to keep dynamic. This is something I told you, even if I'm not smart and genius, but this is something I know about myself. When I start seeing that I do the same thing for a few months or few weeks, I get bored, and I'm looking for new adventure. And for new adventure, I always, I like to have more work because I'm more efficient then. And then deadlines help me as well. I definitely, everybody wants to go further, not just be stuck in one place. So for me, it would be learning some new techniques that I have never done it. Functional MRI is one of them. In functional MRI, literally, if you do finger tapping right now, a small area of your brain will light up, just a small, and you would know this is responsible for finger tapping. That's how amazing the MRI is. And if you start doing like watch movie and look at a sad face, I would know which part of the brain highlight that shows this is the area which is related with the sadness or happiness. I have never done it. I started with it, but I gave up because I found that not very interesting. Now I find it very interesting. That's something I want to learn, and I want to be more diversified, and hopefully in an area where I can then be much more, in terms of like starting something new. Because for me, it's like once I learn, I want to deliver it. And the best thing is provide a platform to the newcomers. So be it mentorship or this is something that I always enjoy. So next endeavor would be finding a very nice platform where we can provide this to other students and other researchers or for those who are in early career.
So, I want to thank you. This has been a great interview.
Sure.
Appreciate your coming here and sharing your expertise with us. So thank you, Dr. Khan, for being our guest today.
I'm glad to be here. Thanks for the invitation.
You're welcome. And to our viewers, thank you for listening in and tuning with us today on Talk with a Professional. Until next month, where we select another professional, I want to say Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam.